Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of We Watch Shudder. My name's JD. Who's here with me?
It's Michelle. I'm so excited. JD.
It's a very, very excited Michelle. Michelle, why are you excited?
Because it is another We Watch Shudder episode where I get to talk about a book.
Oh, that's right. It's Big Book Nerd Bertha.
Big book nerd Bertha is in the house. Can't have a book party without Bertha showing up, even if you didn't invite her. She's fucking there. She doesn't care. She saw an invite on Facebook that she wasn't meant to see, and now she's there. She's at your house. She brought a stack of books. She has opinions. No one else is talking in the book club. Everyone else is quitting the book club. Everyone is forming a new secret book club and not telling Bertha. But guess what? Bertha's gonna find out. Bertha will be there. Bertha doesn't have many friends.
Bertha's got some shit to say.
Bertha loves talking.
Right. Say, hey guys, you're probably like, hang on a minute. Why is there a new episode of We Watch Shudder on a Thursday?
Wait a minute, JD. Why is there a new episode of We Watch Shudder on Thursday?
Well, Michelle, today is Thursday. Well, it's Wednesday, July 10th as we record this because I have a strange compulsion to remind people of that literally every
can't lie to
single
them.
episode.
I get it.
I can't. It's I love you too
It's a
much.
problem.
But the first day you will be able to hear this, the reason we're releasing it Thursday, July 11th, 2024, is World Population Day. World Population Day. What do we do on World Population Day, says Google. World Population Day is celebrated through various activities and initiatives aimed at raising awareness. Raising of what? The population of the world. What is the population of the world, Michelle?
Wow,
what
I've
is
never...
the population?
7.9 billion. I think
no,
we hit
according
8
to
billion.
Google, it says 8.1 billion the way I'm looking at it.
Okay. No,
World
I believe
population you. Clock, 8.1 billion people.
Wow. Thank God for World Population Day, or I would not have known that there were 8.1 billion people in the world.
That's a whole lot of people, and that does... That's a whole lot of issues, and so they're just trying to remind everybody, hey, this is not just you here. There's fucking 8.1 billion people.
And you know what? You and I are not contributing. So we had to pay our dues in other ways. You and I, we are one person each, 2 people total, and neither of us had children. We're going to make that population go down single-handedly. So we had to give back to the world in a different way with a new episode.
A new episode in celebration
they would rather have
of
an episode instead of one of my babies. I know.
Right.
I know that's fair contribution.
I know I would rather have a new episode than one of your babies or one of my babies for that matter.
Oh my God. That toddler would be rambunctious as hell. Yeah, no. You guys get an episode instead.
God. So anyway, in celebration of World Population Day, we are watching the 1964 sci-fi horror classic starring Vincent Price, The Last Man on Earth. 'Cause get it? I'm clever. World Population Day, The Last Man on Earth. Guys, I dreamed this up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, high as a kite. At the time, I thought it was hilarious. I think it's going to be actually a pretty alright episode. There's some interesting things we're going to get to talk about, like the Hays Code. Michelle, do you know about the Hays Code?
I don't think so.
Oh, this is going to be fun. Okay, but anyway, yeah, so we're talking about 1964 Vincent Price classic, The Last Man on Earth. The first of 3 film adaptations of is Richard Matheson, is that the fella's name?
Correct.
Richard Matheson classic I Am Legend. The second, of course, being the Charlton Heston vehicle, the Omega Man. And the third being the much more recent Will Smith film, the only one that shares the title, I
And
Am Legend.
the soon-to-be 4th movie,
Oh,
I Am
Christ.
Legend 2, starring Michael B. Jordan and Will Smith. Currently, I think they're filming, or they're still in scripting.
I'm pretty sure there is no I Am Legend 2 novel, so that movie can kick rocks.
Wow.
Bertha,
what do you have to say about that? Oh shit, Bertha is eating all my snacks. Never mind. I'm just gonna let her be. You don't want to talk to her when she's eating.
Big book
she's
nerd Bertha
scary.
gonna be rearing her head here when we get into the talking about the Richard Mathesons. Yeah. Anyway, this was I knew this was gonna be an interesting episode because as I mentioned, this is a movie from 1964. As you may have guessed from the inflection I put on the word horror, it's classified that way, but that did bring me, like I mentioned, we're going to talk about some Hays Code stuff and the voluntary self-censorship of Hollywood for many, many years. We're going to talk about the Night of the Living Dead. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Michelle, have you ever seen... Because here's the thing: is this movie is old, and I know how you feel about the old movies, Michelle. So I'm really interested to see how this is gonna go. I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself. We want to do a descripty script, don't we?
Couple comments before we do get to the descriptive script, because I'm fine getting there. First off, I googled Hays Code, and this is the 3rd time you've asked me on the podcast, and I've told you I don't know what it is. But it's only the 2nd time I've googled it and realized that you have asked me on the podcast before what the Hays Code is. So yes, because of you, I kind of know what the Hays Code is. And I've said I didn't 3 times on this podcast. The first time I was completely honest.
We've done enough episodes that I don't mind bringing it up again every now and then for people who might just be hearing about it for the first time.
Secondly, I like old movies. Kids. I sometimes don't. I sometimes do. So yeah, we'll talk about whether I did in this case. Do we want to do the descripty script?
Yes. Would you like to do that for me, please? I don't want to read today.
Sure. Oh, that's fair. I can only read some days. Other days, Bertha steals my words. She does not share. She's like, today is Bertha's day for reading. Today is Bertha's day for resting, so I am allowed to read, and that's very nice of her. So, The Last Man on Earth, according to IMDb, when a disease turns all of humanity into the living dead, the last man on Earth becomes a reluctant vampire hunter. Last Man on Earth, 1964, not rated, hour 26 minutes, starring Vincent Price. JD, would you like to hit us with your spoiler-free thoughts?
Yeah, so this is the first time I've seen this film, is when we decided to watch it when I decided to force Michelle to watch it for the podcast to humor my ridiculous 3 a.m. Oh, it's so funny. This is an interesting movie because it comes at a time where, again, with the Hays Code, Hollywood was voluntarily being very tame in a lot of ways, and especially a lot of ways that don't play nice with horror movies and suspense movies. And I appreciate this movie more for what it could have been had it been made in a different time. As it is, it kind of plays like a feature-length episode of The Twilight Zone. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I don't know. It's necessarily very limited, but I think it also harkens forward to some very interesting things. I think they use the words "living dead" in that description very specifically, and no, I think it's definitely an interesting moment in the history of sort of the evolution of horror in the cinema. I'm going to give this one right down the middle a 2.5 skulls.
Okay, 2.5 human skulls from JD out of 5.
Michelle?
Yeah?
Michelle?
Yeah?
I would like to hear your spoiler-free thoughts and scores now, please.
Oh, thank God. I am happy to give them. Specifically, The Last Man on Earth, as an individual movie, ignoring everything that came after and everything that came before. Before was just a book. afterwards was many things. Might surprise you to learn that I love this. I love this movie. This was a great movie. I do like classic movies sometimes. I'm not opposed to the olds. Sometimes I like a good old. And this one was one of them. I think it helps that I have never seen Vincent Price in something that I didn't like. I don't know if I've ever seen him or like I haven't seen him very often as a live action person. I've seen a lot of things that he does voice work in. So getting to see his actual acting for the length of an entire movie was pretty cool. I love end of world movies. They're one of my favorites, specifically how humans kind of fucked up. This does a good job of that. There's some really sad stuff. And not in this movie specifically, but I will be talking about how I bawled my eyes out for the sake of this recording, and I almost recorded it so that our fans could see and they could know that I care about them. But this movie, solid. I really, really enjoyed it. I would actually go back and watch this several times. I'm going to add it to my movie collection. I'm going 4.25.
Wow, that absolutely surprises me. I thought for sure this was gonna be, oh, this is just too much from a different time for me, sort of
Mm-mm.
situation. But that's fantastic. So guys, again, Last Man on Earth. Let me ask you this quickly before we get into the spoilers, Michelle. Did you watch the black and white original or did you watch the colorized version?
I watched the black and white original.
Okay, that's the one I watched too. I almost accidentally watched that. Well, I don't even want to say accidentally watched the colorized version. I don't mind the idea behind that, but black and white is what it was shot in, so that's what I wanted to
Yep.
see.
Yep.
Okay, guys, you can find it all over the place. It's on Tubi. It's on
It's
Freevee at
on
Amazon
Prime.
Prime. Yeah,
Yep.
it plays in the Freevee thing.
If you
Just a
want to ignore
variety of
ads.
places where you can watch it with free with ads. I'm sure there's a couple of places where you can pay a couple of bucks to watch it without ads, or something. But yeah, it's everywhere. Go watch it. We're gonna spoil things now, Michelle.
Yep.
I know you've read this book. I know you've seen this
Yes.
movie. I know you've seen the Will Smith movie. I don't believe
Yep.
you've seen the Omega Man. That's okay. Uh, I don't. Man, that movie's not for me. Anyway, you want to go through? Considering you probably have a real solid idea at this point of what this story is, you want to break it down for everybody?
I would love to. Quick spoiler warning. In addition to The Last Man on Earth, I will be spoiling I Am Legend the book and I Am Legend the movie from 2007. You have been warned. It's a 17-year-old movie. You're listening to a podcast about the original version of I Am Legend. It's probably not a surprise to you that I'm
And
going
how
to
old
talk
is the
about the
book at this
2007.
point?
Well, The Last Man on Earth is 1964, which is 60 years ago, and the book came before that.
I
So,
think it was
if you're
58
upset
or
about me spoiling
59.
the book, man,
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
don't tell
guys.
Bertha that. She's gonna rage. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you the plot of The Last Man on Earth. He's the last man on Earth. The end. No, there's more. There's more, because turns out he's not. But he is, but he isn't. So this is Vincent Price being the last man on Earth, the last dude on Earth. Wouldn't that be great if Vincent Price was a dude instead of a man? Like a frat boy Vincent Price. I'd watch that movie. And so Vincent Price, he's in his black and white glory, and he's also a doctor. And this movie cuts between what he's living as now, as the last man on Earth, where all the people in the world have been turned into what they refer to as vampires because they can only go out at night. There are some zombie esque and monster esque characteristics to them, but they can talk. There's a mixture of stuff going on, and that's kind of one of the things I like is that this is an amalgamation of different things. But this takes place when he's the last man on Earth, and then there's also flashbacks to before when there were other men on Earth and other women and children, including his own child who dies in a terrible, terrible way. And there is a disease sweeping the planet. And given that we've lived through COVID, I do think it's really funny that the newspaper headline says plague claims hundreds, and I'm like, wow, if only we had stopped there, huh? So that that was horrifying to them, but now it's a little too real. So there's this plague, and Dr. Morgan's trying to stop it, and he's not going to be able to. We know that because we see at the beginning of the film, the very first bit of dialogue is him saying, "Another day to live through, better get started." And I feel like that every morning, so I was already set of another day to live through. So I was already on board. But yeah, so he's trying to stop the plague. He doesn't stop the plague. His child dies after getting spontaneous blindness and screaming, "Mommy, help me." That's horrifying. And then his wife dies, but he doesn't want her to get taken away and burned. So he buries her outside, and then she shows up again, and he's like, "Oh no! Till death do us part." But even past that, I guess, because their marriage is real. And then there's a dog that shows up, and he's like, "Why do I even like dogs?" And then the dog fucking dies like 2 minutes later. We didn't even get emotionally attached to that dog, which is very similar to what happens in the book. So, like, good job keeping that very weird detail alive. But anyway, Vincent Price, aka Dr. Morgan, he's out doing his stuff. I think he's burying his dog at that moment. And then he sees a woman, so he chases a woman down. He's like, "Hey, woman, I'm not gonna hurt you." And she's like, "Even back when I was just living in New York City and you were a man yelling at me on the street that you weren't going to hurt me, I wouldn't have trusted you. I'm getting the fuck out of here. I choose the bear." But he tackles her anyway, because he's a man and that woman can't run as fast as he can. And he's like, "No, I promise I'm safe." And she's like, "You're not doing a good job of proving that to me right now." And he's like, "I'm just going to drag you to my house or drag you to my house. And then I'm going to shove garlic in your face." And she's like, "I don't like garlic." And he's like, "But it's great with spaghetti." And she's like, "That's spooky." And then anyway, she's part vampire. That's what that comes down to. But she has a vaccine that she can take. And she tells Vincent Price that, we are terrified of you because we are a society that has figured out this thing that keeps us from becoming full vampire. And you're just out there killing all the people that we love and adore, and stop it. And they're coming here to kill you. And I decided to tell you about it because they've realized that you really do want to cure people and you don't want to be a bad guy, but they think you're a bad guy. But anyway, and then the people show up, and instead of using her words to tell anybody any of what she said to him about how she knows that he's not a bad guy and he's just been working on a cure and everything was misunderstood, instead of saying anything like that, instead of him telling anybody any of that, he just runs away. And then he dies, and wow, he's a legend. I Am Legend. Pretty abrupt ending. I Am Legend, the end.
Yeah, I think important to clarify, he doesn't just die. They fucking straight up murder that fella.
Yeah.
Because they're like...
He didn't, like, spontaneously combust. Yeah.
No, he got shot and he got, like, harpooned. He got rocked pretty hard. And then there's, like,
God,
a baby at the very end for some reason.
If I'm gonna get murdered, I do hope that it is via harpooning. That is such a lesser known murder technique, and I do think that would be like I want harpoon with the rope attached and dragging my body like to wherever the person with the gun is.
I agree with you that it definitely would be a spectacular ending, but it also to me seems like it would be incredibly painful. You get a terrible gut wound, and then they drag you around by that gut wound. No, I don't think I want to go out like that.
Oh, I want to go out. I think I've talked about it on the show that I want to go out in a horrifying manner so that I come back as a ghost. And that's the only way to guarantee it, because they're going to be like, "Hey, don't live in that house. A woman got fucking harpooned there. And now she won't leave." Also, she loves books and she keeps saying her name is Bertha. And every time we try to use the Ouija board, she just starts writing out the entire paragraphs from well-known books, and she just makes us read. And she won't communicate outside of that. I'm tired of reading Shakespeare via my Ouija board. That's how I want to go. It's been cool.
Tired of reading Shakespeare via Ouija board? What does that even mean?
Bertha is gonna make you read books, even if she's not around to verbally tell you about them.
Oh, God damn it. You got so many levels deep there so quickly. I wasn't sure what the hell was going on. Anyway.
I'm really good at shoveling into my imagination.
So, let me talk just a little bit about the Hays Code. So, the Hays Code was a thing that Hollywood did where all of the major production groups and most of the mid-level production groups all agreed to just, standards of decency where there wouldn't be extreme violence and there wouldn't be extreme sexuality and definitely no, like, naked thighs or, just a very sort of restrictive thing that was self-applied. I don't remember exactly what the politics and the sociology behind a lot of it was at the time. All I know is this is right on the edge of it, as can be seen just a few short years later with movies like Night of the Living Dead. Now, granted, that was independent enough that they probably would have been aggressively violent and gory as well. But I think this is a perfect example of a movie that could have been so much more just using this exact same script than it was able to be. It's so held there's almost no like you never actually see anybody get stabbed with anything. There's no violence. You don't get that gritty sense of realism and aggression from it. I don't know. It's forcibly tame for a story that is absolutely not tame. But I think they did a great job doing what they could with it at that time. George Romero has said specifically that the novel I Am Legend was a big inspiration for his for Night of the Living Dead. Having now seen this, I have to believe there's a certain amount of influence directly from this film as well. I think it's an important piece of history, and you can learn a lot from it. I think for a lot of people, it's gonna feel real dated. It's very much of its era. It has a certain pace. It has a certain feel. The first half of the movie has way too much score. Like, there's so many of those scenes where I was just like, please stop playing the orchestra. Just shut up and of course, as the movie goes on, they do play with silence and atmospheric sound a little bit more. I think it's beautifully photographed. I think it's a well-produced film. It just is very much of its time and could have been so much more. That's really all I have to say about it. I know you loved this, and you said you had copious notes. Please, Michelle, you take the wheel. Michelle, take the wheel. Take it from my hands.
Oh, no. Why did you do this?
Oh, God, we're going to die.
Why did you just hand me the car wheel? And we're dead. Hey, I'm a ghost now. That's great.
Okay.
It's Ghost Michelle. Hello, everybody. I was not harpooned. I was killed in a car accident that I kind of caused because JD just handed me the wheel while he was driving.
It's Carrie Underwood's fault. If she hadn't written that song, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, make sure somebody tells Carrie Underwood that she is the reason I'm dead. Give her no context. So I love this. I think the things that you would say are dated are things that I forgive because of the time period that this is from, and that I don't really mind. Like, the daughter has what I thought was probably pushing the envelope of, like, seeing this child be on the brink of death, talking about being blind, crying for her mother. Back in the 60s, that was probably edgy stuff. So I actually thought, like, wow, this movie, and like his undead wife comes back. I thought it actually did a lot of things that were probably edgy for the time. The child dies off screen, but I'm also a theater kid. Can you tell from how much I overact? I haven't acted in a long time, but I did like the theater, and like a little kid dying would always happen off screen. So it's kind of, it feels more like I'm watching something theatrical than I am watching something like a big Hollywood movie from the nowadays. So I think I just wasn't bothered by the things that I knew it was limited by. And honestly, like seeing the kid die on screen might not have been as effective as watching that child be on the verge of death and her parents being upset, and then his reaction when he comes home and finds that their daughter has been taken away and is probably being burned. I think experiencing that death from his perspective and not being there probably hit a little bit harder. That child's death, and well, almost death, really got to me in a way that kid deaths just don't. I wish I cared more about people, but here on World Population Day, I'm here to say people kind of suck sometimes, and it's hard to care about them. But that kid, I cared. You want to jump in, JD, because you absolutely can if you have a response to that. No, okay, that's okay. So yeah, I don't have like a ton to say about the movie. I have a lot to say about I Am Legend, the book and the movie, and I don't know if you want me to, if I should
Oh,
go
let me
there.
make sure my microphone is back on, and there's
I
the
do
blue
hear you.
wave. Yeah, I got
Yeah,
the blue wave on my screen too.
nice.
No, that's it's just an interesting element to me where like those things that you are able to like we're talking about the same elements, but for you it's like I was so on board with the concepts that the execution didn't put you off, and
Yeah,
I was so connected to the concepts that I was put off because I wanted them to be more of what I thought they could be. And
totally fair.
that's yeah, that's very interesting. Um, there was a question I was gonna ask you somewhere. Oh, what did you think about the idea of all these vampires all knowing this dude's name and they're all just like Morgan? They all just
Yeah,
like moan his name.
I okay. I like that. I am trying to think if it's explained in the movie as well as it is in the book. Have you read the book, by the way?
Nope,
That's going to inform a lot. Okay, okay, sounds good. I truly do
I
not
haven't.
remember. Do they explain why they're all just saying his name outside the door all the time? I've watched this movie. I watched I Am Legend, and I read half the book today, so my brain is mush as far as like where that line is for everything that happened today.
Well, I've only seen this movie, and then I saw the Omega Man like forever ago, and I've not seen the
Had you
Will
not
Smith
seen I
movie,
Am
and I've
Legend?
never read the book. So,
Oh man. Okay. Oh man. I'm gonna spoil I Am Legend for you, JD, if that's okay.
well, I mean, I'm pretty sure I know the story at this point for the most part.
Oh no. I mean, well, maybe you've seen it, but like the okay, I gotta get into it. I gotta get into I Am Legend. So here's the thing. I gotta do it. I gotta talk about I Am Legend. The first half of the I Am Legend movie would make that movie one of my all-time favorite horror movies. The first half of that movie is my favorite half of a first half of a horror movie. The second half pisses me off, and that's why it's not on the list. But the first half of I Am Legend, the 2007 Will Smith movie, fucking love it. Love that movie. I have the collector's edition. It's great. There's a part where things get wonky, and then it's terrible. So here's the thing. I rewatched I Am Legend today. And I read the second half of the I Am Legend book because I did not have time to do the full thing. I just needed to skim, and I definitely needed to make sure I reread the ending. I'm gonna start with the book a little bit because the book is very similar to Last Man on Earth, but with a very different ending. And I feel like the ending of the book is so good that it is better than the movies. But they are so different at the same time. Anyway, so the book is very, very similar to Last Man on Earth, where we are following one guy just living out his days as the last man on Earth. He's a reluctant vampire hunter, as the IMDb states. Each night, I believe it's his wife who is yelling for him outside of the house, and he wants to go to her so badly, but he can't. There is a dog that shows up, and I remember being like, nothing bad better happen to this dog. And then I think it's a very like passive way that the dog dies of the infection, or something happens where it's just like, oh, well, I wish the dog had mattered a little bit more, but it didn't do that either. And then when the guy whose name in the book I have right now forgotten, when he is out doing stuff, he captures one of the vampire ladies, not like this half infected woman like in the movie, but like an actual like vampire woman, and he starts talking to her, and he is trying to develop the cure and keeping her there reluctantly. She is not there of her own accord. And then it does happen that the people come to hunt him down and take back the lady, and they do that. And he is in his cell waiting to be executed by these people. And she comes back into the room to talk to him. And she gives him some pills and tells him that he should probably take them soon, so that he will just die instead of being publicly executed in the way that they want to do to him. That was not a sentence. Anyway, so he is talking to her about like, I have seen the joy in these people's faces of this newer like version of humans, and they took so much joy in killing people, because there's still vampires out there. There's basically three groups of people. There is this guy Vincent Price, but in the book, there's that guy. There are these human vampire hybrid ladies, and men and people, and then there are actual full-blown vampires. And the hybrid people have to kill the vampire people. And Vincent Price's character is basically like, well, I saw them taking so much joy. And she's like, but do you see the joy that we saw of you taking people's lives? Because we also saw that monster in you. And basically, at the end, he takes the pills, and he is upset about where society is right now, but also accepting of it, and kind of sad because he realizes, despite being among these hybrid humans, he is no longer a part of society. He still is the last man on earth, and he is so like, these people are so terrified of him that he has become a legend. He says, I am legend, because to these people he is something beyond them, and he is kind of accepting and ready to go and just let these people be the new ones who inherit the earth. So that's the I Am Legend book.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I understood it. Yep.
Yep, that's a much better ending than this movie. But that's okay. The movie though, the movie said, "Fuck all that. We're gonna do something different."
Yeah, let's pause for just a moment. I think it is interesting to note that Richard Matheson himself, the guy who wrote the novel, actually was initially tapped to write the screenplay for this original film that became The Last Man on Earth. But it was taken then by the producers, as producers are wont to do, and they made a certain amount of changes to it, to the point where he was like, well, heck that, I don't want to be credited on this thing anymore, and had them change his name to what is he credited as? Logan something.
There's a William F. Leicester and a Furio M. Monetti alongside his name.
Logan Swanson, that's what he was credited as the writer. Nice. Yeah, it was just like, don't. So Logan Swanson, that's like his Alan Smithy, but as a writer.
That's really funny, because this is very, very true to the book. So it's weird that he went, no, I don't want to be associated with this. I think it's a pretty accurate adaptation. They just changed the ending in a way that took away all the meaning.
Well, I would imagine that would be a big affront to an author and his feelings about a story. But
no, the guy's just gonna die and she's gonna walk away. That's a much better ending than her having this long talk with him in a cell while he reluctantly decides he's no longer a part of society, despite meeting people who are like him. Okay.
All right.
Any other comments before I fucking go off?
No, please. I don't I thought it was cool how the vampires really kind of looked like early zombies. That's about the only other thing. Also, I love that he took the time to like painstakingly machine his wooden spikes for stabbing these. But what I also love is that he actually has a reason for it. And he explains it. He's like, this shape keeps the wound open long enough for them to bleed out before their healing factor saves them. I was like, I've never heard anything like that in a vampire thing, and I thought that was fucking brilliant. Is that in the book?
Yes. I don't know. I feel like very specifically he has figured out how to live and how to kill these things very efficiently. That's near the beginning. Didn't get to reread that, but I would not be surprised if it was actually.
I thought that was a super cool little moment. Anyway, I don't have much else to say about this, Michelle. So you go ahead and right on with your bad self and talk about that Will Smith movie.
My last comment on The Last Man on Earth is I really like the sound of the garlic shaking. That as he's like putting in her face. That's a really good sound. I really like that sound, and I want that sound to just like play when I'm trying to sleep. Of just like as you like shake garlic aggressively in somebody's face. Man, that was a real nice noise, and I'm glad I heard it. Okay, so I Am Legend, released in 2007. First half of this movie is great. Not much to do with the book, except that, he's the last guy on Earth. Last dude on Earth. His name is Will Smith. He has a dog. The dog is a German Shepherd. We'll get to the dog in a moment. But he has very efficiently figured out how to live. He goes out in the day. He forages. It's actually pretty funny at times because, like, the movie rental place that he goes to every day, he has taken mannequins and put them up throughout the video store so that he can talk to them as he goes by and be like, hey, Frank, what's up? Oh, hey, Ethel, how are the kids? And he like goes to the counter and like checks out his movies and says like, well, yeah, I'll have them back in 3 days. I'm just working my way through this section. So he is doing what I would do in the apocalypse, which is first off, be a crazy person. Second off, fuck with mannequins because nobody can tell you that you can't. And third, just watch all of the movies that you possibly could. JD.
Well, here's what I love about that. What I just gotta put it, because here's what you started to say, so what he did is what I would do in the apocalypse, and the first thing you said was, first of all, be a crazy person, and as you were saying it, you said, here's what I would do in the apocalypse, and in my head I said, what, be a crazy person?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought you were going to say, because I can do that pre-apocalypse, which I'm also doing a good job.
No, it was just like, it's like I thought, what, be a crazy person, and then immediately you said it, and it was like, it was so, just beautiful synchronicity. Anyway, please continue.
Love that. Okay, so Will Smith, he's not having a good time, but he's having an okay time. He's very good friends with his dog. He talks to the dog. At the end of each night, he battens up that house. It is covered in metal coverings. I don't know what you call, but like all the windows like batten down the hatches. In the movie, they do not know where he lives, and that's a very important thing. In both the book and The Last Man on Earth, they are outside banging to get in every day. No, he is very, very careful about making sure that these things do not follow him back. So one day he is out foraging and he's hunting deer at the time, which also the scenes of New York City completely abandoned and wildlife taking over are so, oh man, they did a really good job with that. Blew my mind when I saw it in 2007. I mean, now at this point I've seen everything, but like it still looks really good to see a place that is so crowded and so populated on World Population Day without anybody there.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy it, like in a lot of ways. A lot of this is like early examples of liminal space horror, right? Just these odd, these expanses of abandoned entire cities and landscapes where there's just something wrong about. You just look at it and it's just unsettling by its utter vacancy. And I was
love
like,
that comparison. Yeah,
it's the use of, it's a very early example of that idea of just those transitional liminal spaces. I was very much struck by that thought as I watched this movie.
I do like I Am Legend spurning on the back rooms like tangentially. Like that's really cool because I love the back rooms and so excited to get that full length movie. Please don't disappoint me. So yeah, he battens down the hatches, Will Smith. His name is Francis Vincent something. I'm gonna look it up while I talk. So Will Smith, he's living his life, and one day he is out and he is hunting deer, and his name is Neville. I was nowhere near right. Robert Neville. I just rewatched it. I forgot. I went Francis Neville, same name, essentially the same name. He's also a doctor, and so this does the thing where it's flashing back and forth between him trying to get his wife out of New York City before they explode the bridges so that everybody like they're stuck in the city and they can't get out and there's like barricades and everything and he watches his wife and his daughter get into a helicopter, and then throughout the movie they show you more and more flashbacks of his wife and his daughter, like they're testing to make sure that they can get on. They're like they've got these radars to scan eyes because one of the symptoms is you bleed from your eyes when you get this disease. And he's watching them board the helicopter. About halfway through the movie, one of the flashbacks happen and the helicopter fucking explodes in front of him because another helicopter crashes into it. Very, very upsetting. Before his daughter got on the helicopter, she shoved a German Shepherd puppy into her dad's arms and said to keep, or that like they would keep each other company or something like that. He's like, I can't take a dog to the lab. And then like the helicopter flew away. And as he's watching his wife and child depart, he's holding this German Shepherd puppy and watches them explode in front of him. So upsetting. So Will Smith, he's got this dog. He's out hunting. He finds a vampire nest. So then you get to see what they're like during the day when he's in their nest and they're just standing there like breathing really, really heavily and really, really fast, like all huddled together and being very scary. And then he's trying to explain to the dog, like, you cannot go in there because I can't get infected, but you can. And when he says that, you fucking know what's going to happen at the 50-minute mark. I am going to give a quick shout out to doesthedogdie.com. It's very useful for this fucking movie. I had messaged some of my friends and told them I was rewatching I Am Legend, and I haven't seen it in a couple years, and I got so fucking anxious from the first minute of that film because I went, I know what's about to happen, and I had to go look up the timestamp on doesthedogdie.com so that I could try to be prepared, and I fucking wasn't. Because then as the movie goes on, he is driving around one day and one of the mannequins from the video store is just in the middle of the street, and he turns back around. He's like, what is the exact quote? He's yelling, what the hell are you doing out here, Fred? If you're real, you better tell me right now. What are you doing out here, Fred? Just screaming at this mannequin, losing his mind, shoots the mannequin with his gun. He is losing his mind, starts shooting the mannequin, and then it turns out it's a trap, and he steps on something and gets yoinked up by his leg and knocked unconscious when his head hits the cement. And he comes to right as his alarm goes off, telling him it's sunset. And when he cuts himself down, he stabs himself in the leg because he lands on his knife. He's crawling backwards towards the SUV. I didn't mean to get this detailed. I'm sorry, I have thoughts. So he's crawling backwards towards his SUV, trying to convince his dog, like, stay away from the other vampire dogs that are gonna get us as soon as the sunlight isn't out. The sun fucks off at a terrible time. Will Smith gets to his car, grabs his gun, is wrestling with a vampire dog, and of course, one of the fucking vampire dogs bites his dog. He gets back to his lab where he's been trying to develop a cure, and here I am, I knew it was coming. Fuck this movie. I've only watched this scene twice, with one being today. I did it for the viewers. I had a hard time with it. He has been developing all these serums, so he's got his dying dog on the table in front of him, and he injects her with a serum, hoping that this one that did work on one of the rats, that this one that has not been proven to work using his own blood, hopefully will be the one that saves his dog. And so he injects her. He puts the German Shepherd in his lap, holds her like a baby. I'm trying not to cry. Is holding her like a baby, sitting there. And as he's petting her, he's singing Don't Worry by Bob Marley. The dog's name is Marley because of how much they love Bob Marley. He would sing to her all the time. He would play Don't Worry in the car. And then he's singing Don't Worry to her, and he feels her fur and starts feeling chunks coming out. And then he looks at her eyes and he realizes her eyes are changing. Her teeth are changing. She's starting to breathe kind of ragged. And you just see Will Smith's face as he looks off and he knows my dog is gone. And then it is just a constant camera on his face. And from the shoulders down, you know this dog is changing. You can hear it growling. It does show you a shot of it trying to bite him really quickly. And he has to fucking strangle his dog to death. And it is a very long scene. It is, I hyperventilated today. It's fucking upsetting. And it doesn't stop there, because after the dog dies, the next day he goes to the video store. I'm still trying so hard not to cry. He goes to the video store, and he had told Marley the day before that there was a cute girl at the video store, and he wanted to talk to her and was asking Marley for dating advice and being like, no, I can't just go up to her. So he goes limping, because he's still like dealing with a leg wound, limping up to this mannequin in the video store and says, I told my friend I would come over and say hi to you today. Hello. And then he waits, and then he says, hello. And then he starts crying and says, please say hello to me. And just cries in the video store because now he's alone. And one of the most upsetting moments of any movie I've ever seen. Say what you want about the rest of the movie, and I will. Fuck that 5 to 10 minutes in particular. Oh man, I almost cried on the podcast. Anyway, then it gets stupid. I fucking hate the last half hour. I hate it so much, JD.
What a beautiful transition. She goes from I literally almost cried on the podcast to, and then the rest of the movie is fucking stupid.
So fucking stupid, because then this girl
beautiful.
named Anna shows up, and she's got a kid with her, and she starts telling Will, we heard your broadcast, and we came because we know that there's a group of survivors, and we're going to go to them because God told us to come see you, and then told us to go to the survivors, and we know God spoke to me and said there's a reason that I had to come see you. And so then it turns into a very religious thing. We're at the end. There are two endings to the movie. And basically, Will Smith takes one of the vampire ladies and is trying to use his serum to save her. And just keeps killing her and reviving her over and over again. And it turns out it's like the main vampire guy's like side chick or something. So he's pretty pissed. He's also more intelligent than the other vampires, which is something that Will Smith has a hard time coming to terms with. But they also don't develop that to the extent that they need to in order to make any of the endings make sense. But this fucking lady who shows up, Anna, she's there now, and she's got a kid, and they're like, hey, we drove you home last night because you looked like you were gonna die. And because he went after the vampires, he was just ready to die. He went on a suicide mission to just like take out as many as he could, but they saved him. And he's like, wait, they followed you home? And she went, yeah. And now all the fucking vampires know where he is. So they all get into his lab downstairs under his house. They're trying to like see what's gonna happen. The one main bad vampire guy, he must have had a lot of steroids in his system when he died, and some Red Bull, maybe some Monster, maybe some 5-hour energy drink. That guy was hopped up on something because he's trying to just break through that glass. He is pissed off. And then Will Smith hands Anna a vial of his blood and says his blood is the cure, and shoves her into this like metal safe thing and says to come out at dawn. And then he takes out a grenade and just kills himself and the vampires. And then it's her going to this commune of survivors and being like, he had a huge impact on the world. He really was a legend, or however she says it, or whatever the fuck she says. I hate it. But there's also an alternate ending that is slightly better, but not deserved, and also still stupid, because he's standing there in the room with the vampire lady and then this other fucking lady named Anna and her kid. And he wheels out the vampire women to the roided out vampire dude so that he can just take his woman and go home, as though the vampire guy is just going to be like, oh, sorry, Will. Sorry about the misunderstanding. Sorry, bro. Like, it's going to be like a Chris Rock moment where suddenly they're going to have to make nice for the sake of Hollywood. Is that what this was? Was Chris Rock the vampire guy? Where now they don't like each other, but they do have to respect each other and live in the same space. Is that what the fuck's going on? It's awful. And then they're just like, okay, bro, and then they save humanity that way. Either way, it's fucking stupid. The first hour of this movie is one of my favorite horror movies. The last half hour can suck a dick. Okay. You can say
Wow.
so, JD. I mean,
Jeez.
I hope it does. I hope it's a really fun time for everybody involved, but I hope it's a chore at the same time.
Whoa, the dick sucking?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that was wow.
I hope this movie is obligated, but not in like a coercive way.
Michelle?
Yeah.
Can I ask you, well, not even really much of a question, but like, I guess it is. If you wanted to talk about 2007 Will Smith I Am Legend instead of The Last Man on Earth, why didn't you just say so?
Because I didn't think I did. I thought I was just going to rewatch I Am Legend as like a quick refresher. And there's a lot of pent-up thoughts that I've had for 17 years that I didn't expect. But I sobbed my eyes out earlier, and I also did not expect that. Fuck that scene, and fuck this movie turning into what it did.
What I love about that is that just basically turned into Michelle does the longest plot recap she's ever done, going through what happens in I Am Legend.
You haven't seen it, and I needed you to know.
I mean, you could have given me the opportunity to go watch the movie, Michelle, but you know it's fine.
I didn't plan any of this. Just like I didn't plan for fucking Marley to die. I was a wreck. I was a wreck in the theater. Like we're talking everything, everywhere, all at once level of sobbing in the theater. Fuck that scene, and fuck Will Smith going up to a mannequin in the video store to say I told my friend I'd come say hello, please say hello to me, and crying.
Wilson. Anyway,
if you want to watch the movie, I have the collector's edition. I can lend it to you. It's in a nice metal case.
It's fine. The chances that I was ever going to watch that film are very, very, very slim. I'm not a real big Will Smith fan in general, which is part of why I've never bothered to see it. But I hope you feel like you got something out of your system. How
did this become the therapy portion? I didn't mean for this to happen.
Well,
I'm so red and ashamed, but I did not know I had such feelings.
There was a doggy involved. There was a doggy involved, Michelle.
Oh my God. Will Smith made me cry so hard today, and I hate him. It's a Wednesday. How dare he? Wednesday? A Wednesday, William Smith? How dare you? I have to work in the morning. I'm not going to be recovered.
You got PTO you can take, don't you?
Yeah. Hey,
my
boss's
name
I almost said on the podcast, but I won't.
Because Marley died.
Yeah, but my boss is cool as hell, and I bet if I told her I'm going to be in late because I was crying about a dog death I saw in a movie last night, she'd be like, girl, take all the time that you need. My boss is really cool.
That's fantastic. Oh my God.
Oh, okay.
So that was the I Am Legend. What was the other one even called? I've read The Last Man on Earth. That's the one that this was supposed to be about.
I didn't mean to.
No, it's fine. It's totally fine. Oh, excuse me. So happy World Population Day to everybody. What do we got coming?
Celebrate.
Right, yeah. So this is a Thursday, and we got a new episode coming up on Saturday. Michelle, what is the new episode gonna be? Isn't there a new Shutter drop?
Yeah, Arcadian. It stars Nick Cage, who I also love.
Arcadian.
He does not make me cry. I can't.
Michelle, do you know what that means? That means we're going to get 2 Nick Cage movies in a row because we're going to see Longlegs tomorrow.
Oh, shit. We do get them right in a row. Yeah,
we do get Longlegs tomorrow. I might have to go rewatch Arcadian some other Nick Friday.
Cage films. Yeah. I love Nick Cage, unironically. I love him.
You gotta.
And I hope he has a good life.
You gotta make sure you reply in the thread I put in to let me know where your seats are, because I had to give up my 9:40 ticket so I can come see the movie with you guys.
Oh yeah, I can go do that. I just got very distracted by I Am Legend, sobbing, JD.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Didn't mean to, but it happened.
So I don't know. There's a chance we might do an episode about Longlegs, depending on how everybody feels about it. It's a pretty hyped movie. Yeah. We're going to see it tomorrow. I'm pretty fucking stoked on it. How are you feeling about it, Michelle?
I feel nothing anymore. What is like?
Wow.
Is it even worthwhile if there's this fucking possibility of a dog dying in the way that it did? Having to not just your dog dying, having to strangle your dog to death, your only companion. All the other dogs are infected, all the other humans are infected, and you have to strangle to death your only companion. And now you're friends with a fucking mannequin. And that's all you have. And she won't even say hello to you. But that's all you have. Anyway.
But I mean, it's not like she's not saying hello because she's a jerk.
What if she was? What if she was like, no, I choose the bear.
So, okay,
I don't accept many coming up to me unprovoked. And you know what, madam? Sure. Fine, usually, but please just say hello to this heartbroken man who had to strangle his fucking dog to death. It would be a kindness that he's not owed it, but it would be a very nice thing for you to do. Man, I didn't realize. I have so many thoughts about the mannequin in particular. Apparently. Fuck that mannequin.
Jesus. So okay, guys, before we're done here today, Michelle suggested this is something I should probably talk about, as long as we have a chance.
It's an emotional episode.
So as long, okay. I mean, our platform is modest, but I have to talk about. I was out at my local Walmart today, and I was in an aisle doing some shopping, and I heard some voices starting to get raised behind me from another aisle. And long story short, there were some people who were complete strangers, two different groups of people having a confrontation, and I went over to see if maybe there was anything that needed to be broken up, you know, because it sounded like some of the people involved were kind of young, and it turned out to be a couple of, like, teenage, I don't know, I'd guess 14, 15-year-old, maybe 16-year-old African-American kids. And are they dicking off? Yeah. One of them's got one of the electric wheelchairs that are supposed to be for disabled people. And yeah, they're being rambunctious dumb kids. Sure, they are. But this dude took it upon himself to play cop of the store. Mind you, this is a dude who, these are teenagers at best. This is a full-grown adult man in a Walmart in North Dakota carrying a gun because we're an open carry state. And these kids are continuing to antagonize him, but they're walking away and he follows them. At one point, he put his hands on one of the kids. At one point, they were talking to him. The one kid was like, man, you know, put that gun away and I'll fight you myself. And all this, you know, just being antagonistic. But, you know, what else can they do? And I don't know. He says that he was just going to take it off his belt and give it to somebody so that he could apparently fist fight a fucking teenager, I guess. Or maybe, I don't know. Here's what I know is I watched that man reach for a gun and I watched 4 people standing around do nothing but shout. They did nothing. They were just like, oh, you know, walk away. And so I walked up and I just got right in the guy's face and I told him to leave, and he was shouting at me about, you know, nobody tells me what to do or whatnot. But finally he started to walk away and the kids were still being antagonistic and he flipped out again, and I just kind of had to grab him and put him in a bear hug, and thankfully he didn't struggle nearly so much because I think he understood what was happening, and we got him to calm down, and the kids went away and the cops showed up, and it was a whole thing. But I had to listen to this guy the whole time I was holding on to him and trying to get him to calm down, yell and scream all this racist, disgusting shit. And I didn't say anything because I definitely didn't want to reignite this flame in any way whatsoever. But I just wanted to be like, motherfucker, they are kids and you have a gun. What the fuck are you doing? And I watched these other people just stand around and do nothing. I listened to at least one of them in the aftermath talk about how, yeah, well, those kids were antagonizing him and they wouldn't let it go, as if that somehow justifies any of it. And I don't know if anything's ever going to come of it. Who knows? Fucking Fargo, probably not. But I don't even know what I'm trying to say, except that and as I'm leaving the store, I'm having this panic attack, and I'm standing outside, and this dude walks up where I'm standing, and he's commenting on all the police cars that are outside the store. And I told him what had just gone on. I was talking about, again, listening to this guy shout all this racist shit, and this guy outside the store, he says to me, just between you and me, like, it does, there is, most of the largest part of the crime numbers, and, like, it's all coming from those black groups, they're way more violent and have much, and I was like, actually, no, man, I don't feel that way, and I walk away, and he's fucking shouting at me like I've insulted him because I don't want to hear his racist bullshit. It's fucking sad. Why do I have to fucking bear hug a motherfucker in a Walmart because he's holding a gun or is carrying a gun, and he's pissed off about a couple of black kids fucking off on an electric wheelchair in a Walmart? I don't know what else to say, but it's fucking bullshit and it's gotta stop. It's, this is the world we're looking at, guys.
On World Population Day.
Yeah. Motherfuckers, you gotta vote. We are in fucking... This dude stood there and just felt justified putting his hands on these kids and threatening these kids with a gun because he knew none of these other people were going to do anything about it because they probably thought it was justified. Gotta vote. Gotta fucking vote. Anyway, guys, I'm sorry to bring everything down. I just, I gotta take every opportunity I can to talk about shit like this when it happens. So,
do you want me to say something slightly lighthearted and dark to bring it back up before we say
please goodbye? Make me laugh.
Okay, it's gonna be really dark, but I really wish that maybe instead of watching Will Smith's strangle crush his dog to death, maybe you should have done it to that guy instead. Maybe when you were bear hugging him instead of the dog. Instead, JD, maybe we could have swapped those somehow. And Marley would still be with us. And you know what? There's no way she would be racist. She was a sweetheart. She lived till like the age of 15. In real life, not in the movie. In the movie, she was like 3.5. She died pretty young.
Say goodnight, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle.
For more horror content, visit WeWatchShutter.com, where you'll find our world-famous patent-pending Ghoul blog and Squelch files, as well as a schedule of upcoming episodes. Find us on social media at WeWatchShutter on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I guess Twitter if you're still doing that for whatever reason. You can email us. mail@WeWatchShutter.com is the address. mail@WeWatchShutter.com. You can even call and leave us a voicemail, 701-566-9510. No, really. 701-566-9510. Give it a shot. See what happens. We Watch Shudder is a production of Rat Factory Media.